Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to untangle enterprise planning architecture and discover exactly why building an effective, high-performance plan definitely shouldn't just mean blindly copying your entire ERP system. Look, if you or your organization have spent any time working with SAP Analytics Cloud, or SAC, you already know it's an absolute powerhouse. But just like any highly advanced tool, it only delivers those top-tier results if it's architected correctly. So we're going to dive right into the precise strategies, frameworks, and core principles you need to transform your enterprise forecasting from something sluggish and bloated to a process that is agile and continuous.
Right off the bat, I want you to consider this. SAC planning should not replicate ERP complexity. This single, really powerful design philosophy comes from the independent advisory firm SAC Plans, and honestly, it's the absolute crucial point that's going to guide our entire analysis today. Way too often, we see organizations try to take every single historical line item from their massive ERP software and just dump it straight into their planning tools. Because seriously, who doesn't love the absolute misery of downloading and waiting on massive, unmanageable ERP data dumps? Well, as we'll see, that is a total recipe for disaster. Planning should enable focus-driven-based modeling that helps you make faster decisions. It is not supposed to act as a massive, convoluted data warehouse.
To get us to that streamlined state, here is our game plan for today. 1. We'll look at the platform bloat trap. 2. Platform versus data product. 3. The BI versus planning tracks. 4. The 7-layer architecture. And 5. We'll wrap up with core enterprise planning principles. Let's get into it.
Starting with Section 1, the platform bloat trap and understanding architectural debt.
So, what exactly do we mean by architectural debt? Simply put, it's the severe performance degradation that happens when you ingest massive volumes of historical, transactional line items directly into in-memory planning models. When you treat a highly specialized, multidimensional planning tool as if it's a giant data warehouse, you create this debt, and it fundamentally breaks your planning agility. SAC planning models rely on super-fast in-memory processing. When you flood that memory with completely unnecessary historical minutia, you're not doing rigorous planning anymore, you're literally just creating a massive bottleneck.
What does this actually look like in the real world? Well, have you ever sat there staring at the spinning wheel of death on an agonizingly slow input form? Yeah, that's a symptom. If you're dealing with massive historical data ingestion where your business logic and data are effectively locked away in application silos, meaning the data you transform inside an SAC model is trapped and can't easily be shared, you've got a serious problem on your hands. Add in things like sluggish data actions, painfully slow allocations, and a total inability to run quick what-if scenarios. If that sounds familiar, you are experiencing the glaring symptoms of this exact platform bloat.
Moving to Section 2, platform versus data product, focusing on separating DataSphere and SAC.
To fix this crippling architectural debt, we absolutely have to rethink how we structure the ecosystem. We need to establish a strict separation of concerns by distinguishing between your data platform and your data product. It helps to think of SAP DataSphere as your enterprise-wide data platform. It's the heavy-duty factory engine handling all the massive data ingestion, relational transformations, and multi-source federation. On the flip side, SAC planning operates as a specialized data product. Think of it as the agile steering wheel. It's designed specifically for consuming curated data to deliver tangible business outcomes, driving scenarios, and executing right-back workflows.
Let's actually break down these responsibilities because this is absolutely crucial. DataSphere is your workhorse. It handles the heavy lifting of enterprise-wide actuals and deep historical master data. It runs the ETL, extract, transform, load operations, and manages all the complex joins and data harmonization. Basically, it's the platform layer providing your baseline actuals. SAC planning, acting as the product layer, only takes in the aggregated drivers and those baseline actuals. And because it isn't bogged down processing all that raw data, it can run lightning-fast advanced formulas, handle input enablement, and manage disaggregation seamlessly. SAC consumes curated actuals, runs the predictive models, and then writes the final budgets and forecasts back to your core systems. It's a perfect loop.
That brings us to Section 3, buy versus planning tracks, utilizing dual capabilities on one platform. Now, SAP Analytics Cloud is actually pretty unique because it bridges historical reporting with forward-looking decision-making by maintaining two very distinct capability tracks on a single SaaS platform. On one side, you have SAC for business intelligence. This is all about read-only data exploration, interactive visualizations, and sleek dashboards. But then you have SAC for planning, which is an active read-and-write driver-based forecasting tool. While the BI track gives you that augmented analytics and executive storytelling on live data, the planning track acts as a dynamic data product for input enablement and driver-based simulations.
You can see right here how this builds out a truly comprehensive enterprise toolkit. BI focuses on descriptive and diagnostic analytics. It's strictly read-only, built for business analysts and decision-makers who need dashboards and smart assist features. The planning product, however, is fundamentally different. Its objective is predictive and prescriptive. It actually empowers your FP&A teams, operations, and department leads to actively read, write, and disaggregate the numbers. They're using it to build out what-if scenarios, automate data actions, and submit budgets that write changes straight back to core systems like S/4HANA.
And here's the best part. When you get this architecture right, by keeping the heavy processing in DataSphere and strictly separating read-only BI from active planning, the scope of SAC planning scales incredibly wide. We're talking about 50 distinct enterprise use cases. That breaks down to 17 in enterprise planning, covering integrated business planning and rolling forecasts, 12 in financial planning for revenue and headcount, 11 in supply chain for things like inventory and capacity, and 10 in sales planning for quotas and pipelines. SAC can literally handle all of this without ever slowing down, as long as you maintain that streamlined architecture.
So Section 4, the 7-layer architecture, which is our framework-driven approach.
How do we actually build this optimized setup across all 50 of those use cases without falling back into that ERP replication trap? Well, Independent Advisory SAC Plans uses this proprietary 7-layer architecture as a logical roadmap. It flows beautifully. You start right at the foundation, Layer 1, defining the business strategy and governance. Then you map your data architecture and hierarchies in Layer 2, before moving to data integration in Layer 3, making sure S/4HANA and DataSphere are supplying that clean, curated data. Layer 4 is where you handle the actual planning model design, keeping it ultra minimal with strict star schemas. Layer 5 builds out transparent logic via data actions. Layer 6 creates a seamless user experience with friendly input forms. And finally, Layer 7 locks it all down with strict governance, auditability, and access controls to keep the whole machine running smoothly.
Finally, Section 5, Core Enterprise Planning Principles, the essential rules for success.
To ensure long-term agility here, there are 5 core principles you absolutely must follow. Number 1, demand minimal data models. Only capture what is actually needed for decision-making. Do not just copy every ERP dimension. 2, driver-based planning. Build your plans from business drivers, like volume or headcount, rather than importing millions of historical line items. 3, clear governance. Every single model needs defined ownership and version control. 4, transparent logic. Your planning calculations have to be readable by the business, not just some specialized technical team. And 5, continuous forecasting. Get rid of those rigid, outdated annual budgets and replace them with rolling forecasts that reflect what's actually happening in the business right now. Nailing these 5 steps ensures your planning stays incredibly fast and highly effective.
So, the main takeaway here is that doing SAC planning right requires some structured thinking. If you're looking to eliminate your own architectural debt and really accelerate your planning cycles, the independent advisors over at sacplans.com offer a planning maturity assessment to help map out your specific path forward. They're 100% vendor-neutral consultancy aligned with SAP Activate best practices, and you can reach out directly to free 10 hours at sacplans.com to see how their framework might optimize your own environment.
I'm going to leave you with this one final, somewhat provocative thought to chew on regarding your own enterprise architecture. Look at your current setup and really ask yourself, are you genuinely building an agile steering wheel to guide your business forward using driver-based continuous forecasting? Or are you just dragging around the heavy, convoluted engine of your ERP, crossing your fingers and hoping it somehow turns into a strategy? Make sure you strictly distinguish your data platform from your data product, and you'll completely unlock the true power of your planning tools. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this helps you streamline your own enterprise planning strategy.